Hello everyone, I'm Master Delpe and welcome to our International Women's Day. Today, March 8th in the Philippines. We are broadcasting this in the mountains called the MDP Village in northern Philippines. So I'd like to welcome you to this official sanction by United Nations. It was started in 1975 as recognized by the United Nations as a special day for women. But the Socialist Party of America started this in 1909, February 28th. So that's the first time they have launched this, but more on February 28th. But 1914 in Germany, they shifted from February 28th to March 8th. So today is an important day to celebrate women and your success and also your endeavors and the great potentials you can be. Today's lecture is entitled Harmonizing the Power, Love and Light in Women. Very close to my heart because this topic has been one of the most requested topics from the women's circle around the world. I am a coach to a lot of women, and in fact 95% of my more advanced disciples around the world are women. So you can just imagine the potential of the future. I would say the future saints, the future masters will be from the women's group. I venture to speculate that this is going to be a close approximation because today I see a lot of the rising potential of women, not only in the industry but also in the spiritual circles. Well, today we have 3.4 billion women out of 7.4 billion human beings today, which is around 49.5%. You're almost 50%. Now, the source is from GeoHive research from the internet. But 49.5% of humanity today are women, around 3.4 billion. But one thing that is really important is to know that even at the sperm level, men's sperm, the X and Y chromosome, the women, I would say, outlive the men in terms of the sperm. The Y chromosome, which is male, live up to 3 days. And the X chromosome female is up to 5 days. Now the lifespan of women today is higher, far higher than the men. It's 73.5 years. 73.5 years is the expected lifespan for women, whereas men have 68.5 years. In my incoming book, The Higher Science of Longevity, with my research around the world in many places where they have super centenarians, the women again outlive the men by 20 to 30 years. With my new book, I have mentioned about the longest living people today are from the Okinawa, Ogimi in Japan. I have met women that have lived more than 110 years, 105, 108, and 109 and more. And also in Vilcabamba, Ecuador, in South America. Women had outlived the men, and a lot of the women that I've met are more than 110-year-olds and on average of 108, 105. So I've been seeing that the women really have a better life expectancy in the sense that they probably can handle stress better and they have a better way of handling many affairs of life. Now, just to give you a trivia, the women today still are catching up with men in terms of the industry. In their survey from the UN Women release, 61.5% are still in the services, in the industry, and in the services, service business, and around 13.5% are in the industry, and 23% are in agriculture. But just to give you a trivia on the CEOs, this is like kind of low for now. There are only 4% of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies who are from the women side. So there are more men than women CEO. Only 4% of the CEOs today of the Fortune 500 are from the women. And 23% are in government. So just to give you an idea that there are still an advantage of certain qualities of men in terms of the working population. They are perceived as stronger in terms of willpower and vitality. They are perceived still as more intelligent in many of the needs of the industry and technology. So today, my topic will focus on how to raise your bar as women, not only in the industry, but as an individual, as a wife, as a girlfriend, as a daughter, as a boss woman, as a mother, in terms of power and also in terms of light. Women are perceived as more emotional and more loving, so they place the women in terms of the pedestal, which I would say dominate the emotional and the love qualities. But in terms of light or intelligence, they still regard women as a little bit lower than the men. And in terms of power, women are still lower than the men. So I'd like to harmonize and synthesize the idea that if we can harmonize the power in women, the love in women, and the light or mental intelligence in women, there's a change that will happen. It's a game changer. That's why the theme of today, for the International Women's Day, is Be Bold for Change. Be bold for change. So I'd like to focus a lot on how do you make a big change with a game changer, a breakthrough change that would not only stretch what you have already as talents and qualities, but to tap into the hidden talents, the hidden energies and potentials that you have, which man had harvested in the many years of life and many millennia, and also bring that into your arena, into your corner. So we will talk about these potentials as we go on. Let's start with love. Now love, which is connected to emotions, connected to the heart, is usually regarded as the domain of women. Now, the problem is the women are endowed with a double-edged quality of emotions, because in the women's brain, they say that there are 4 pleasure centers in the limbic system and the brain system of women, but also it is I would say it is a reward at the same time. It's like a punishment, because those 4 sensory centers of the brain does connect to your pain also, not just pleasure. So though you have more gain in terms of experiencing pleasure more than men. Men have 1 pleasure center versus 4 in women. You also have more pain centers with it. So sensory perceptions of pain and pleasure are in the same spot. So you are endowed with more pleasure and pain centers, so your sensitivity to emotions are also higher. Therefore, your ability to memorize or harbor emotions are also higher, including negative emotions, traumas, fears, all of the other emotions that can be expressed as negative, including anxiety and mood episodes. So the limbic system, which is more stimulated in women, have a good advantage in terms of emotional sensitivity, but also it has an disadvantage if you have negative experiences, including traumas and memories of bad experiences. So how do you regulate that limbic system, the emotional brain's sensitivity sensors, so that you can experience pleasure more than men, but you can also regulate the pain that comes with the sensory sensitivity. So that's, we can probably put an antidote to that later. That's why women can memorize more the pains of the past and bring it out in an argument more than men, who tend to forget what they have even said yesterday or the other week. So, and women tend to have a long memory for pain and traumas. How did I qualify to talk to you about this topic today, about women? A lot of my clients are women, so I get very exposed into women's issues, not only health issues, but emotional issues, mental problems, and psycho-spiritual items as well. Around 70% of my clients today are women compared to men. And even in terms of family crisis, the women tend to open more to the coach, to the mentor in me, more than the men, who tends to take things more lightly and play golf or go to the beer house or talk to their friends and bring it out in a lighter conversation. So I'd like to remind you that emotional intelligence are domains of women, is a domain of the women in terms of the heart, in terms of the limbic system. But how do you bring that emotional sensitivity and emotional intelligence into a mature state so that you are not just emotionally happy or sensitive to other people's emotions? You can also mature in terms of bearing the burden of emotions, to mature, to be wise in terms of emotional management. That is partly a quotient that comes from the emotional intelligence quotients. Emotional intelligence quotients can be divided into three. Your lower emotions, which feels people's negative feelings. You can sense people with negative intentions and negative feelings towards you. Like mother's instincts can also sense their children's feelings and their problems before they tell them. So that's emotional intelligence in terms of lower emotional sensitivity. So women are more sensitive than men in terms of feelings. Palpitating, tuning into the other people's emotions. Whereas the higher emotions, which is the ability to be happier in terms of joy, in terms of, I would say, happiness, and I would say inner pleasure, are easier also to be felt by women. So that is another level of emotional quotients. Now the third part of emotional quotients is more the wisdom of the heart. The discernment that comes when you feel the right and wrong in any situation, in certain situations. So the heart can sense certain wisdom, discernment that brings the feeling of right and wrong. And women are more sensitive than men in terms of the emotional intelligence, which is the first seat of wisdom. So that is also a gift for mothers, for grandmothers, more than grandparents from the male side. So you have three levels of intelligence in the heart level. The lower feelings, which you can sense what's wrong. You have the feelings for higher emotions, which is happiness and joy, feeling in the heart. And also the wisdom of the heart, which is sometimes called discernment. These three qualities are more dominant in women because you tend to use more the heart than men in terms of conversation, communicating your feelings, and even perceiving other people's intents. So you go forward to enjoy those sensitivity, but make sure that you have enough willpower and the ability to say no when you need to say no, because if that is weaker, too much love without willpower can harm you. I'd like to declare that. Too much love without will to say no or to resist and to be tolerant against negative influences should also be, I would say, curtailed or be managed. So too much love without willpower can harm you, women. So I'd like you to understand that it's not always about love that matters on earth. There's a time that you need the willpower, the vitality, the focus, the ability to keep on going despite of difficulties. So willpower is a quality which men tend to harness easier than women. There's more men in the military, there's more men in the martial arts training, there's more men that tends to accept the more heavy jobs, and the society today tends to delegate the more nurturing aspect to women that employs the heart. Therefore, the development of women for a long, long time has always activated and sensitized the heart, like in motherhood. So I'd like you to consider that for you to be bold for the change, which is the theme of the International Women's Day today, March 8th, is that it requires you to develop the willpower systematically, deliberately, and under a higher purpose, rather than just to compete with men. Because some people also tends to overstep on the aspect of will to fight men rather than to harmonize with men. So you need to harness this extra power, vitality and will, but not to fight the opposite sex, but to balance your love and emotional intelligence, so that with the two there's a sweet will or sweet power. Your heart brings sweetness, your power and will brings that sturdiness, the ability to tolerate stress, the ability to tolerate difficulties and crisis and conflict. So if you combine sweetness of the heart with the power and will, it's called sweet power or sweet will, which is a formidable combination of a very powerful but harmonizing leader or an icon that can be very attractive to many people, not only women but to men as well. Because men and followers tend to look for more powerful leaders. They are not always looking for sweet leaders. If you look at companies, they might promote you if you are a sweet, loving, magnetic person, whether a man or woman. But the one who's promoted above that person tends to be the one with power. Because to go for higher leadership, you need the tolerance against stress, tolerance against criticism, that you can weather the storm of anything, including criticisms and traumas or anything else that are usually affecting that higher leadership. So if you're just loving and sweet and magnetic, you can reach a certain leadership that brings you to a nurturing leadership style. But above that, you're competing with people with power, and people at the top tends to bring people with power on the top because they require more sturdiness to stay on the top. That staying power requires the will and vitality to be higher tolerance against stress and against adversarial conditions. Okay, so develop the willpower and stamina and vitality to augment the power of your heart. Many loving and sweet women tends to fall on the last 10% of their roles because of the lack of willpower. See, if you are a very loving person, you tend to be liked and loved by others, and so you perform, most people perform from 0 to 85%. Even people with talents and intelligence, they tend to perform from 0 to 85%. From 86 to 95, for example, a person who is more smart, who is more intelligent, and who can deal with situations tend to get that role. But last 5% tends to combine the three aspects or the two aspects of power and intelligence. Not the loving type will go to the top. Now, if you have power and love, you might be able to reach and achieve that last 5%. But the one who has power of influence, power of vitality and stamina, who have a longer staying power, who has a good heart and likable, and also have the wisdom of the heart, maturity of the heart, and the third aspect is the light, the intelligence of the mind, then the person gets to be the leader of the leader of the leaders. In here. In today's world, not all people are loving people at the top. They can be very powerful, and they can also be intelligent and smart. Or they are surrounded with people who have those qualities. So the one who will reach the top tends to have at least two qualities: power and light. Power and mental intelligence and sharpness. The one who is promoted maybe to HR or human resources or anything, vice president of the people's strategy in corporations and organizations, tend to be the loving and intelligent type, not necessarily the powerful type. Because HR, you don't require so much of the power, but you require a good mind and a good heart in a way. Now to be promoted to the CEO or the chairman of the board, then it requires more feats and quality and talents than just being intelligent. You tend to be promoted to the top if you can weather the storm of anything: criticism, crisis, conflict, people shooting you from the top, and many other conditions that are required of that top level. So today I'd like to evangelize the idea that women have to catch up with the quality of power and will. And that is the one that makes you emotionally mature and sturdy. If you're too emotionally sensitive, your heart is sensitized, your wisdom and your love and sweetness and compassion is very active. But you have also an accompanying willpower to be sturdy, so that even they will humiliate you, they will shout at you, they will put you down, you're still steady. You're still going ahead with your mission. You might get hurt for 1 day and 1 hour, but you keep on going because the will pick you up. Why? Women and more emotional people have higher fears, higher anxieties, higher tendencies to be depressed and to be emotionally imbalanced. Why? Because of the lack of will, power, and vitality. It's like this. Fear, so with anxiety and worries, is inversely proportional to power and will. So if you decrease willpower, anxiety and fear goes up. If you increase willpower, anxiety, worries, and fear goes down. So they are inversely related. So whoever has a lot of love tends to be sensitive. And if you decrease willpower, stamina, endurance, and your sturdiness, then all these emotional things becomes highly sensitized. Therefore, the antidote to fear, to worry, to anxieties, and to stress, fatigue combinations is to increase willpower and vitality, so you become sturdy. So it's a good combination. A compassionate heart, a nurturing emotions, plus willpower is sweet and power, sweet will. Those two combinations are formidable combinations to become a great leader, a great parent, a great friend. Many things that are great can happen with those two combinations. But if you are competing with people who has power and intelligence, sometimes the one with love do not want to go anymore to compete at a certain level because they don't want to so-called sacrifice their quality of life, their balancing of their family life and career, and or they do not want to sacrifice their values because they think to be on the last 5%, you have to sacrifice values, or you have to sacrifice many of your good things, which is true in many ways. But if you have sturdiness, you have the fighting spirit, you have a good value system, people respect you for your power, they love you for your heart, but they like you, admire you for your mind. These three combinations of power, heart and mind, the trinity of higher success and leadership, will bring you to a place where you have not been before. It will bring you to a level where even the man of power wants to be and to sustain that position. Because climbing that high power point of position is not always the most difficult. It's sustaining it to be in the top, in the apex of that role that makes people fail. It's not going there only. It's sustaining that role and power in that position without going back easily by the pull of your enemies or envious people. So you need to think of the trinity of success and higher fulfillment to balance your lives. You cannot balance your life without the three. You have to have a strong mind, a sharp mind. You have to have a very matured heart, not only a sweet heart, but a matured emotions that you can get sturdy when being pulled down by people. Sturdiness comes maturity of emotions. Because a lot of sweet people, a lot of sweet hearts do not always stay in a certain level because their emotions need to mature first, needs to be wiser, needs to be sturdier. Now, in terms of light or mind, there are two aspects of the mind. The logical mind, which is tend to be related to the left hemisphere of the brain, and the right hemisphere tend to stimulate what we call the abstract mind or the philosophical mind. Most women tend to be more abstract, intuitive, and psychic than men. The right brain tends to be more active, and the left brain tends to be dominated by the men in science, in technology, in the business industries. So you need to balance your right brain and left brain, because today they're still looking on a person who has a good common sense in terms of logical, sequential thinking. A lot of women tend to feel and intuit the reasons of things, the decisions they want to make, the sense of the moment. So if you lack the sequencing of the reasons, you don't know also how to get there. You know the end game by your feeling and your intuition, but the sequencing of the step-by-step method to achieve those end games are more difficult when the logical mind is not sequenced properly. So the man tends to be better in sequencing and in terms of logical reasonings and rational thinking and scientific thinking as well. So women have to catch up in terms of those lines. So when you have a good intuitive mind and abstract mind, you tend to sense and connect your feelings with intuition. And then you have to also pay attention to the details of the sequences and processes, so that when you jive and connect the right and the left brain reasoning and abstraction, you are the best thinker around. Whoever has the best logical mind and the best abstract mind tend to have a combination intelligence called the lateral intelligence. The lateral intelligence does dominate the higher leadership, the ability to respond to different situations which are not within the box. If you say out of the box intelligence or out of the box thinking, you need to put yourself in the zip code and the domain of lateral intelligence. The ability to look at things in a different point of view, not only in a bigger scope, not only in a more detailed way, but in a different way where people do not think in terms of those cracks, those crevices, those tears of reasoning. So when you can express lateral intelligence as a leader, you can adapt to many situations without being educated in them. Most people today who reach the top are people who can instinctively stand on their foot without much data from research and make decisions. Better decisions with instincts, with intuition, with logical and abstract and bigger picture intelligence. So lateral intelligence is another intelligence which will be the domain of the people with the heart, a good mind, especially with left and right brain thinking, and a powerful predisposition to focus and execute with the right instincts. So today, women, ladies, and girls, we have teenagers today attending, we would like to encourage you to take the three aspects of the Trinity. In many religions, we have learned the Trinity of God. God the Almighty, which is power, omnipotent, almighty. We have God the All-Merciful, the omniprovident, and the loving God, symbolized by many avatars like the Christ, Krishna, Rama, and all different religions, embodying the heart principle. And then we have the mind principle of God, which is intelligence. In Christianity, we call it the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost. In India, they call it the Brahma, the creator aspect. And in general terms, called the omniscient God, the all-knowing God, or the divine intelligence. So most religions have propagated the mystery of the God's Trinity, which is power, which is heart, and which is mind intelligence. So in women, you have all these potentials. You just have to harness them by being aware of their potential existence in your life and develop them purposely and deliberately, so that one day you will not just have to, you don't have to struggle to be ascending in the top of your career or your industry or your position as a mother, but you will gain the respect of everyone who are aspiring to have the Trinity. God has the power, has the loving aspect and intelligent aspect, and so he is called the absolute in the center. So you respect God because of his almightiness or omnipotence. You love God and have faith in him because you trust him because of his all-mercifulness or omniprovident. He provides. And then you respect God because of his intelligence, or you admire God because of his miracles, aspects of your lives. But you adore God because he is the three. As they say, three persons in one God, or one God in three personifications or qualities of the Trinity. Now, as I go back to my first claim that men have more dominated the power qualities. Even in the Bible, as most of you maybe are Christians, you will see that a lot of the personifications of divinity were endowed and entrusted in men, from Abraham for the Jews and Christians, and we have also Moses again, you have also Jesus, you have Joshua, you have King David, King Solomon, Joseph. All the apostles were mentioned as men, but I suspect that there's a lot of women disciples of Jesus. We have Martha, Mary, and many other names that were mentioned in the Bible. So I would like to say that a lot of women are quite advanced in the olden times, but I think with the male-dominating society and who censored many books and literature, they suppressed the name of women in that sense, because they are probably the male-dominated society had always censored many aspects of the women's glory. So today I'd like women today to be bold for the change. This new millennium, this new age called the Aquarian age. I hope you can bring up and raise your bar so that you will not just be loving and remember to be a grandmother who has a loving heart and a wisdom of the heart, nurturing at that, but a woman with power to lead the family when the grandfather dies or when the husband dies. The women take charge of the power in the family. So sometimes women who are divorced, single parents from the women group, and even grandmothers, mothers whose spouse passed away, they tend to develop the will automatically because there's no more man figure who will take into that power post. So they rise in the occasion of leadership that combines the heart and power. But if they were intelligent and loving, plus they take charge on the role of power, then they are totally legendary in leading the family and the clan. I have known many women who had led the family because their spouse died early and they had to take charge of the power position of the family, plus the nurturing aspect of the heart, plus they need to think of how to sustain the business of the family. They tend to develop the three aspects. In the Western world, there's also a certain advantage of the women who are pushed with their karma yoga, or the yoga of suffering, to be divorced, to be single parents, so they have to take charge of thinking for the family's future. They have to nurture the family as mothers still, but they have to act as also fathers by leading the family with more will to sustain their mission as a family or the purpose of the family. That's why when I coach many women who are single mothers or single parents or who are divorced, suddenly from a very sweet woman they start to change as powerful leaders, even projected to their industry and to their workplace, because they develop by force of no choice that they have to develop the power, the heart and the mind to lead the family. So they develop and hone those skills and those intelligences so that they project that also in terms of their workplace. So let's study the virtues that are related to the Trinity in you, so that you will have a checklist today. What are the virtues and values that you have not developed and cultured, which is hanging out there as a potential for you, which probably is the only missing thing to make you greater than even what you have achieved. Let's start with love. Love virtues are related to compassion, to sweetness, to pleasantness, and also benevolence, or what we call the unconditional loving kindness, or generosity. And as you develop further, you develop what we call altruism, which is unconditional generosity. So altruism, benevolence, kindness, sweetness, the nurturing aspect of the heart, emotional wisdom of sensing and intuiting the needs of others before they ask you. You're giving them those needs. That is the virtues from the heart or emotional intelligence. Some of you have developed that one. The thing that you need now is to bring the willpower virtues. So let's study the willpower virtues. Willpower has a quality that makes you focus. Even you are intelligent and smart, if you don't have willpower, you tend to be dispersed. You tend to be out of focus. So to be able to continue focus on your aim and guided by your purpose and constant with your execution, follow-throughs, then that is called the virtue of discipline. Constancy of aim accompanied by constancy of action or effort. You need that discipline. Now, when women tend to be emotional, they tend to drain easily their vitality when you are stressed, when you have anxiety, when you have emotional turbulence, when you have crisis. You tend to easily drain your energy and stamina. Therefore, your staying power to sustain your purpose, your mission, your day-to-day affairs tends to be diminished compared to the men who are thicker and sturdier in terms of crisis and emotional sensitivity. And so, as I said earlier, it's a reward as well as a tribulation and a punishment in that sense. So by increasing your willpower and vitality alongside with your heart, you tend to be sturdy, you tend to have less fears, less anxiety, less worries, less drain of energy. As I have mentioned earlier, willpower tends to increase your fearlessness and stress tolerance and fatigue tolerance. When your willpower is high, you are more tolerant against stress and fatigue. When your willpower is low, your stress tolerance and fatigue tolerance will be lower. Your fear is higher, your worries are higher, and anxieties are higher. It's a very direct proportion, as inversely proportional. It's opposite. So you need to increase your willpower, not only your vitality. Because a lot of women have vitality now. You follow the right diet, you have yoga and martial arts and exercise regimen, you take the right rhythm of your life, you tend to have stamina. But willpower is something else than just stamina. That's why I mentioned willpower and vitality. They are not always the same, they are related but not the same. Willpower is more of the high, sustainable focus that usually comes from the soul. In the physical body, it comes from the endurance aspect. It comes from the stamina aspect of the body. They are related also. When your body has endurance, you tend to sustain more focus on your work and your mission in life. So willpower brings discipline, the ability to sustain and the ability to focus with action. Another one is speed. When women have a lot of love but no willpower, they tend to be slower in decision making, in execution, and in achieving things because you hesitate. When there is no willpower and there's a lot of love and emotions, people tend to hesitate. You tend to doubt. You tend to be more skeptical. You tend to worry. So you need to increase the ability to have focus, the ability to increase the speed and endurance, stamina, physical stamina, mental stamina, and spiritual stamina as a whole being. So you need certain exercises to do that. There are more men in martial arts and military service than women because it's more natural for them. And also the old society has always frowned on women getting into the military or learning how to kick other people or learning how to shoot. There are more shooters from the men in any gun club in the world than women shooters. Again, they think that the guns are the domain of the men. So power, guns, ammunition, martial arts, karate, kung fu, all kinds of things, they are still dominated by the men. You need to think that your girl can learn not only music and play with dolls, they can play with sticks to defend themselves, with arnis. They can also look at the possible knowledge of the guns and marksmanship. The ability to be aware of the power of the knife, the power of sticks, the power of... Even if you don't want them to fight, one day you're not there to defend them. If they are over-nurtured, because usually parents tend to over-nurture more the girls than the boys. They tend to overprotect them. So when you overprotect the girls, they tend to be not exposed to crisis or to situations where they have to handle certain difficulties. So the willpower does not get developed if you overprotect the girls more than the boys. So you as parents, you need to adjust your parenting psychology over the overprotection of girls because they tend to be less exposed to certain challenges which does not develop the willpower in humanity. So it is good to have women learning martial arts, learning how to defend themselves, not only to be playing it with dolls, but playing other things that even the boys would like to play. So this is an advice that I'd like to project to women, parents, and to people with siblings. Try to stimulate the awareness of power in women. In my group here in the MDP village in Asia, a lot of our women disciples do get trained with martial arts, with stick fighting, with knife fighting, with marksmanship, and also the work that develops the muscle. Instead of having a gym and just doing a soft yoga technique, our women disciples here do carry stones, use the crowbar, they use the knives. They know how to handle the different tools of the trade that men tend to dominate. Then after you can manage those things, it is already, you become neutral about the lack of power or more power between men and women. You need to put a hands-on experience in such a way that you cannot say, I'm more powerful, but I cannot carry what you carry, you see. Oh, I want to be more powerful than all the boys, but I don't want to carry that stone. See, it's like a double-edged, double standard. Oh, I want to be more powerful than him, but I don't want to do anything on those marksmanship. I don't want to shoot anybody. I don't want to punch anybody. I don't want to spar with somebody. So this is where a lot of women are lost, because they want to be as strong and more powerful than the men, but they don't want to practice the exercise of power, where the men can claim that. So you have to upgrade a little bit of the needs to have a drill of power, to exercise with power. In terms of light, as I mentioned earlier, I like to advocate the idea of not only developing the intuitive and abstract mind in women, which is stimulated by your emotional brain, because as you have more sensitivity, you tend to intuit the feelings of others more than reasoning the situations. You need to balance your logical mind and the abstract mind so that you can deal with different situations with what we call the lateral intelligence. See, I keep on repeating the different ways. So whereas the men have more instinctive intelligence, more physical, because they are more physical in their drills of life, execution, men and women are more emotionally intuitive or psychic. Again, in healing sciences, we have what we call the energy centers, called the chakras in yoga, which stimulates these faculties and intelligence. Today, I'd like to introduce you the idea of awakening these different aspects of the Trinity by certain focus techniques or a disciplined riveting of your mind to stimulate the energies that serve as the software of these faculties and intelligence. And this is where I am an expert. If you are an expert healer or I would say a spiritual teacher, you need to have the down-to-earth applications of the science of energy, not just the theory and the philosophy of energy, so that you can teach it to others. And that's my domain. I can transfer the skill sets that can develop the Trinity in women by certain techniques. Today I will teach you a few things so you have a takeaway after this workshop. First, I'd like to educate you on the science of energy and centers of energy in your body, which stimulates also the glands. And the glands stimulates the hormonal balance or imbalance. And women tend to have certain exposure to mood episodes or emotional episodes because of the fluctuations of the men's and the menstruation cycles in every period, every month. Plus, when women reach the perimenopausal stage of 40 plus, their hormones tend to get imbalanced again, and again they go into a certain kind of suffering which men do not get subjected to. Plus, during pregnancy and during postpartum, taking care of the baby, there is more responsibility for the women at that. So there's a certain stretch in women that the more you need the willpower and intelligence to augment your emotional sensitivity. Therefore, you stay balanced all the time, whether you're in the menopausal stage, puberty stage, pregnancy stage, or postpartum stage. And this is my greatest gift to you today, to give you certain tools, which I've taught to many students today. I've taught it to the men, the CEOs, the chairmen of boards, and many aspects of the corporate world and politics as well, because they have always aspired to learn more powerful things for their profession, their career, and their lives. Women tend to want to learn more the psychological aspects, the crisis management aspect, the psycho-spiritual aspects, the spiritual aspects of life. That's why more women tend to attend my workshop on those topics. So I'd like you to pay attention on these techniques so you can bring it as a tool for your life. First, the centers of energy called the chakras have certain locations in the body. You might not see it with your naked eye, but clairvoyants or psychics can see these twirling energies in front of your body, on top of your head, the back of your body, and below. The portraits of saints have always mentioned them in the drawings of the artist rendition of the halo of the saints on top of the head and the halo of the third eye at the back of their head. They're not the same, top of the head and back of the head. And a lot of these portraits of saints also mention the brightness of the heart, the emotional heart, which is the sacred heart, as we call it in Christianity, or the heart energy center. So this is, you see, as golden pinkish light emanating from the chest. And many traditions have also indicated the energy in between the eyebrows, which is sometimes mislabeled as the third eye. The energy between your eyebrows is the one that controls abstract mental intelligence and the focus aspect of the mind. To be able to sustain your vision, you need this energy. Now, this energy, called the Ajna chakra or the mid-brow energy, is also the one that controls the master gland, called the pituitary gland. Behind the optic nerve is the pituitary gland, which is the master gland that directs all the glands to secrete the hormones. So if there's a very imbalanced aspect of this energy field, this energy center, the pituitary gland is also imbalanced. If this is weak, the pituitary gets imbalanced and it affects all the hormonal aspects of your body. That's why this is called the master chakra, controlling the master gland, the pituitary. The one that controls the pineal gland beneath the top of the head, which is an important component because that is also where the seat of the soul's mind, the mind of the soul, or the mind of the personality also, is seated on that area, and it's controlled by the crown chakra. The crown is the spiritual center which connects you to your spiritual self, your soul. That is symbolized by a lotus flower in Buddhism, or in Christianity is the halo that is round on top of the saint. When this is active, a person creates like a halo effect above the head that is seen as golden hue or rainbow color for the mystical groups. It has 12 inner petals and 960 other smaller petals. That's why in yoga and in Buddhism, they call it the 1,000 petaled lotus. That is because 12 plus 960 is almost 1,000. It's easier to say 1,000 than the fractions. Now in Christianity, you can see the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Mary as also the light that comes from the heart that stimulates not only emotional intelligence, but the wisdom of the heart, where you can feel right and wrong. In women, this is more active. The problem, though, in women is you are more active in the solar plexus. The energy below your diaphragm, in the sternum area, is the diaphragm that controls your breathing. This is where you have the emotional chakra called the solar plexus center. Now this is important because when you're too emotional, the energy here becomes active, and when it's too active, it brings the influence in a negative sense to the heart. So this is the emotional heart, and this is the lower emotional heart, and this is the higher spiritual heart. These are like kind of feelings, sensors. So emotionally you can be happy, you can be pleasant, you can be peaceful until your solar plexus gets active, and then when this is more active than the heart, it prevails. So when the emotional center is of the lower kind, fear, anxiety, stress, jealousy, daringness in the sense of the ego, when this is active over the heart, then the heart is a slave of your lower emotions. So this is the first seat of the ego, or the lower ego. So when this is so active, you feel sometimes the burning sensation of your stomach, and some people tend to have higher cholesterol and liver problems, because when you overactivate the solar, it becomes so red in energy color, it cooks the liver. It also affects the pancreas, especially if you have a lot of pent-up emotions. Your energy at the back solar tends to be red, connecting to many people whom you are angry with. So it oversensitizes the pancreas, which causes eventually a long-term effect on your insulin, and diabetes disease comes in. So that is the culprit in many women. The solar plexus in women tends to develop the emotional solar plexus, whereas in men, the sturdiness is more in the mind of the emotions. So I would say that if you can regulate your lower emotions and activate the higher heart, then your heart is peaceful and loving and pleasant, and your solar plexus, your lower emotions, tends to be quiet and calm. The culprit is not the mind all the time. It's not that you are a negative thinker. It is the emotional negativity that affects even your mind to think negatively, to plan something negative against people. It is your solar that brings sometimes the envy and jealousy that makes you think of a method to overrun somebody, or to micromanage your husband or somebody else. So you need to regulate and deactivate the solar plexus through certain methods of meditation. If you are a healer, you can use green and blue color to cool down your solar, or eat less before you sleep so that you don't have nightmares, because when you sleep and you have very active solar plexus, you tend to get out of the solar plexus when you dream, and you're out of body through the emotional centers. So when a person has a lot of nightmares or night terrors, do not feed them before they sleep. Far away, like 3 hours before sleep time. Then the solar tends to subside again. Alright, now in terms of Trinity, the heart is the stimulating point of the love aspect. All the virtues of compassion, generosities are here. Now in terms of mind, you need to activate the Ajna chakra or mid-brow center. This stimulates your abstract mind, mental stamina, and focus of the mind. Then you stimulate the crown chakra for spiritual power and inspiration. Spiritual power, mental intelligence, emotional intelligence is a trinity. So when you can do breathing, and after breathing and oxygenating, you focus on these three centers, you develop the trinity of the heart, the mind, and power, especially soul power. So I'd like to teach you that now. And you can do this every day, even before you sleep. You do 5 sets of 10, 1 minute interval to focus. Then you can sleep very deep. And women who are not able to sleep long enough because you are a breastfeeding mother, or you're very busy, you're a single parent, you can sleep only for 3 hours with this technique, and as if you had slept for 8 hours of normal sleep. So I'd like you to do a lot of this breathing now with me, like this. Inhale through the nostril, chin in, inhale. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose, Exhale to the mouth. Continue. Okay, head straight. For the beginners, only focus on one center at a time. Let's first start with the love energy. Press the center of your chest, which stimulates not only the love aspect but the thymus gland. It improves the immune system, the thymus gland, and the love aspect. Close your eyes. Focus on the chest's point that you are pressed. Your mind should be thinking of the pressed area continuously, sustainably as you breathe slowly. Now, concentrate and breathe. This is already partly meditation with concentration. Sustain your mind with the focus. Feel the inner peace and stillness as you concentrate. This is where you feel inner peace and stillness, inner joy. Okay, another one, synchronized breathing. Synchronize your head and the abdominal movement. Ready? Inhale up through the nose, mouth. Okay, head straight. Press it between your eyebrows, the Ajna chakra, mid-brow center. Bring your hands down, close your eyes, concentrate your mind on the press point and breathe slowly and sustainably. Continue breathing, close your eyes, activate your mind's power, your mental intelligence. Okay, another time, 10, ready? Inhale up, exhale down. Head up, chin up. Deeper breathing. Okay, head straight. I want you to press the center on top of the head. On top of the head, center. Bring down your hands. Concentrate your mind on the center of your top of the head and breathe slowly. Sustain. This will bring you peace of mind, spiritual inspiration, wisdom, and intuitive qualities. Power of the soul. spiritual power. Okay, last time. Inhale up, chin in. Start. Okay, head straight. This time, concentrate on your trinity of love, mental intelligence, and spiritual power. Top of the head, mid-brow, center of your chest. All together, simultaneously. Breathe slowly while you focus on the 3 points. Sustain. Do your best to focus on 3 things. Continue closing your eyes. This time we need to develop your instinctive and physical and energy, vitality and power. I want you to focus on your navel. Belly button is a power center of the body which hones your instinctive intelligence, including your physical lateral intelligence, your vitality and stamina. It also stimulates the adrenals for power, speed. Focus on your navel and breathe slowly. Okay, open your eyes. How do you feel now? Okay, I added one technique, which is the navel. In martial arts and combat science, we focus a lot on the navel to make our ability to impulsively and instinctively react in the right way, called the instinctive intelligence. If women are very emotional, sometimes your emotional instinct is not physical instinct, it's emotional reactions from the solar plexus. And that's a problem, because when you are biased with many traumas and bad experiences, your bad experiences dominate your instinctive response, which is emotional reaction, not instinctive intelligence. Those are impulsive reaction, not instinctive intelligence. So the navel is the one that stimulates the adrenals and your energy to react in a more instinctive, intelligent way, or intelligence, as we call it. So the navel is also the storehouse of energy and vitality and internal prana, or vital force from the environment. So when your energy is active here, you can execute sustainably and have discipline, and you close in what we call the executional gaps. Because a lot of women tend also to feel what they need to do. They are intelligent to plan. They have the intuition and the wisdom to know. But the problem of a lot of women is sometimes the executional gap. The ability to act rightly, instinctively, to do it now rather than to postpone. Why? Because when women are emotionally drained and high stress and high strung emotionally, you tend to postpone until you are feeling safer to execute. Whereas men tend to have higher risk, and they're higher risk takers, so they instinctively act upon their ideas faster than women. Whereas women are still busy feeling the idea and feeling the situation. Men are already thinking of what's the next thing to do, what can we do now, or who's gonna help me now, whom can I call? So you need to close your executional gap by using your instincts through the navel, not to your solar plexus. So that is one solution and antidote to a lot of the delay and procrastination in women as well. Execution is important, not just wishing it well. I always quote Benjamin Franklin saying, well done is better than well said and well felt. So wishing well is good, but you need to execute. Do it now, including solutions. All right. Now, when you talk a lot about your own issues, you tend to spread also a lot of emotional garbage to many people who will remember how bad you were. So even you have recovered from the problem, there are so many people who are putting you down by their thoughts of you in the past. So when you're emotionally congested with pent-up emotions, you tend to upload through gossips and or through many remarks about your situation to feel better. If you don't have the psychologist to listen to, who can listen to you. So men tend to just take it easier and not to talk much about it. They tend to go around and just drive faster with their car or play golf or do something else. So they do not release it through the mouth. And they tend to conservatively shelve also the emotions. That's why maybe they live shorter lives. Women tend to release their emotional problems. So they have less pent-up emotions. And so men have probably more heart diseases and a lot of other conditions, hypertensions and other diseases that affects men who are not able to express themselves as well. Okay, so you add the navel to put the power of the body and vitality as just opposed to the power of the soul. Power of the heart, power of the mind, power of the soul, power of the energy and stamina. When you have these four centers of energy properly activated and balanced, your life also will balance not only the power of the heart and the mind. Your execution of your good ideas will have a fruition of better results. All right, today I'd like to congratulate a lot of those who have attended our workshop, because I will end today with a healing. I'd like to honor you women and ladies and girls today by giving you a healing strategy called the Just Be Free meditation, which is about releasing all your pent-up emotions, your past experiences, your negative memories, so that you empty yourself, so that your power, your heart and mind, and your vitality will stay longer. Because even you activate the power, the heart and the mind and vitality, if you still have the old habit of draining yourself emotionally, because you still have a lot of bad memories that are lingering around your consciousness and your emotional centers, then you still cannot sustain the triangle of power, love, and light. So I'd like to teach you, and through experience, I want you to heal yourself with my help. All right, close your eyes. and I'll do it a few minutes of these just be free meditation, which I've designed for healing yourselves. Alright, close your eyes. Inhale, exhale slowly and deeply, and relax. I want you to visualize yourself in front of a beautiful ocean, in front of the sea. I want you to inhale and exhale slowly, and breathe out all your stress, anxieties, and worries and tension of your lives. Release it out, release them out to the ocean, as if the ocean is absorbing everything from you. Exhale out with intentions. Exhale all your fears, your worries, your phobias in life. Any insecurity you might have, release them out and let the ocean absorb everything. Exhale all your sadness, your feeling of depression, weaknesses, fatigue, or even your apathy, or any kind of demotivation, sadness and loneliness if you have any. Exhale them out to the ocean now. Release, let go. Exhale any confusions of your mind, doubts and uncertainties of your life or your future. Release them out from your mind and your consciousness and let go. Allow the ocean to absorb everything. Exhale all kinds of traumas and bad memories and their side effects and memories of negative experiences in life, even from childhood. Release them out and let go. Let the ocean absorb everything. If you have diseases and toxicities or vices or addictions, release them also. Let go. Allow the ocean to absorb everything from you. Just exhale and release and let go. Exhale any blockages of your life, emotionally, mentally, or physically, or financially. All kinds of emotional, mental, spiritual, or physical blockages, including financial problems, release them out. Recurring mistakes, release. obsolete beliefs, ideas, things that do not work anymore for your life. Release them out. Including repeated mistakes with relationships. Exhale and let go. Will that all of these will be out of your life now and not to come back. They are gone forever. So it is. Command those negative energies to be gone forever. So it is, so it is, so it is. Now it is done. Disconnect from all these negative things now, as if you have a sword made of light cutting the connections. So it is. Okay, I want you now to continue closed eyes position, meditation. I want you to recall happy moments of your life. Reminisce them, cherish those happy events, and feel them in your heart again. Harness the positivity of your past. Recall and re-experience them in your heart. Bring that nice feelings to your loved ones and those people who have helped your life. Remember any person who had really helped you, and from your heart express gratitude and appreciation and respect to them, and wish them well from your heart, as if this were your last time to do so. I want you to share to your friends and loved ones good wishes and good intentions, as if this were your last time to express them. What would you say from your heart, sincerely? I want you to remember anyone who's been hurt by you and apologize from your heart and see yourself forgiven. Whoever they are, just apologize sincerely and with humility. So it is. See yourself forgiven. Now visualize people who have hurt your life and hurt you in the past, or is still ongoing. Talk to them from your heart without blame or anger. Express yourself. Advise them to become better people and not to hurt you anymore until you can forgive. I want you also to forgive yourself for all mistakes and shortcomings. And accept yourself totally, and be bold to change. The theme of the International Women's Day, be bold to change. Not only do you need a loving heart, but a courageous heart to be bold. So I want you to see the change in you, what you want, balancing your power, love, and light. I want you to see that ahead of time. Say 1 mile ahead from here. See the future in a stage, 1 kilometer, 1 mile ahead in the future. And see yourself balanced with power, love, and light. All your weaknesses and your difficulties will evaporate or fade away if your balance is already achieved. These are the antidotes. See yourself balanced, power, influence, vitality, good health. Intelligently smart, lateral in expression of intelligence, not only creative but innovative in nature of the mind. Will to absorb that intelligence, which brings the positive aspect of lateral intelligence. Logical mind and abstract mind combined. And see that your loving heart is not just sweet, but courageous, bold, and mature. It can stand criticisms and crises and difficulties. A matured emotional intelligence. So it is. Will it run to the future and merge with the light you have mentally visualized? Run and stay away from troubles. Move away from the past weaknesses of your life. Run away from darkness. Move to the future light now. See yourself running fast to the future and merge with the light you have created. As fast as you can, run away from the past negativity, your old self, your obsolete self. Go to the future now. So it is. So it is. Merge with the future. Attract more power, vitality, good health, discipline, and speed in your life. Attract love, sweetness, wisdom of the heart, and maturity. Attract innovative intelligence and creative intelligence and lateral intelligence in your mind. Now, will to attract all these good qualities of power, love, and light in you. Now. And prosperity and sustainable financial freedom. Now. With a lot of great friends around you and great people you serve. Service, intelligence, servitude, servant leadership. So it is. So it is, so it is. Now it is done. Mentally say, life is great. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful to life. Life is great. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful to life. Life is great. So it is. Okay, open your eyes. So this is a gift to you from me today. I give you the healing energy and I process your past to be healed so that your present is transformed and you empower the future. Healing your past is necessary. Just accumulating and adding power and intelligence is not enough. You need to vacate a lot of these biases of intelligence from the past and drain of power and drain of energy. So your presence can be transformed ongoingly so that the future is very empowered and enriched. That is the future of the most advanced women of tomorrow. For the new humanity to emerge, we need parents, mothers, grandmothers, sisters, bosses from the women's division who has already harnessed the power, the love, and the light, which is borrowed from what we call the divine macrocosmic template. The power of God the Almighty through you can rule with power and vitality and discipline. Your love and matured emotions can nurture people and sustain team building. And sometimes you need to move from the non-rivalry against men. Because whether you like it or not, you need men to complete you. You need men to complete your team. You need men to do other works which you cannot do. That is the greatest thing of what we call being independent. Being independent is not being away from the needs of other people. It's the knowledge and wisdom that you don't exist, you cannot exist without other people's interlinked with you. That is true independence. It's not away from dependence. Second is, you do not just stick with the things you have learned. Attend workshops that develop the abstract mind further. So that it's not just the intuitive aspect of the abstract mind that you need to harness as a woman, as a leader. You need to use the philosophy aspect of the mind. You study world philosophy, diversity through understanding of religions and culture and philosophy would make you a great leader in diversity. You can deal with many people around the world who are of different cultures and nationalities and religions, so that you can be managing from the middle of diversity. Then you need to innovate with your mind to improve things. To audit, you need the logical mind. To measure, you need the logical mind. So you can only manage your life if you can measure your key areas and you can audit them, so you can regulate your weaknesses. So by having the Trinity, you will not only balance your life, but you will also hone the different levels of intelligence. Your instincts, your emotional intelligence, your logical intelligence, your abstract intelligence, and your spiritual intelligence, which include wisdom and intuition. So with that, I'd like to congratulate the women who have attended this class, that you have been informed with the next steps that you might need for the next bigger mission of your life. Sometimes you need only one extra talent that will complete your existing talents to be able to navigate the chains of your life. The best people who will manage the chains are those that have creatively adapted to the chains in the psychological aspect of children, youth, business, nationalities, world affairs, and many aspects of life. You need to be able to navigate and thread life with all different kinds of intelligence, with lateral intelligence, which I've mentioned to you earlier. We have many tools that you can learn. What I've given you is only the tools that deals with your psychological aspects of the power, love, and light. I have not taught you the willpower. You have to get the willpower DVD, which I have designed, or you can get the Just Be Alive DVD, which has all the components of the willpower. Yeah, this DVD is the one that teaches you how to activate all the centers through exercise and breathing techniques and balance them through exercise. Just Be Aligned is one that you can use to use mudras and hand gestures, positioning of the hands and fingers like in yoga, to be able to activate all the centers and flow the energy. Just be aligned. And the one we just did, the meditation for your healing, is a healing meditation, is just be free. This one. Free your past, free your emotional, mental blockages, free your diseases and many aspects that blocks your life, and bar you to perform. Now we have given an opportunity for attendees to win today 3 prizes, first, second, and third. So I'd like to announce. Oh, I need the. Okay. The first prize is the Be Well Science Healing Class, which is a whole day course that will teach you how to heal simple to common disorders, and also around 3 meditational techniques to heal, 2 exercises to empower your willpower, and also to use certain color combinations and divine healing to heal yourself, your family, and others, even at a distance. It is a very contents-driven workshop which allows you to understand the science of energy, the science of the aura, or the human energy system, and energy anatomy. The second prize will be a workshop on the 7 cycles. The 7 cycles is what I call the 7 secrets of God's clock. There are 7 cycles of 52 days segment, and every 7 years also has 7 cycles of your soul. These cycles of your personality and of your soul, when you extrapolate, interpolate the interpretations of your conception, your birth, even buying new houses, selling properties, marriage, divorce, even conceiving your next child, these are all plotted and charted where you can manage the best opportunities and get the best chances with minimal risk, because your decision making will be improved and heightened to a certain level that you can chart your decisions for a year or even 7 years, so that you can take advantage of the best opportunities you will have and get the best life you deserve. The third prize is coaching with a senior life coach and healer, and I'd like to mention that the first prize is $220 if you attend online, the healing workshop. The second workshop is Cycles of Life, is $220 also if you attend online. And healing and life coaching, even psychic reading, is $150 an hour for the senior coach, that you can enjoy your questions about decisions, healing, or even your career change or anything. We have also these workshops offered for those who do not win. March 19 is the healing workshop basic level. We have many levels of the healing sciences. This first level is March 19, available online. You can email us, we'll give you the link. And March 26, 7 Cycles of Life. March 26, 7 Cycles of Life. You can register or email info@masterdelpe.com. info@masterdelpe.com and register. You visit us also, our latest activities in the beautiful hills in the Philippine Himalayas. I call it the MTP Village. It's a resort that I have developed here and still developing, that brings not only longevity, not only through healing, but through martial arts, through exercise, through yoga, to hot springs and thermal baths available here, through fresh fruit, fresh water, fresh air, and also enlightenment. We do a lot of workshops that deal with enlightened life, and we have also life mentoring, life coaching to balance your life and enlighten your life. And also we have serenity and tranquility available here in this village. We have created with all kinds of athletic activities, nature's walk, river safaris, hot spring and thermal baths. If you want even to practice marksmanship, we have also a range to practice shooting. We have also a lot of self-defense and combat skills development to willpower, for willpower development, like stick fighting, knife fighting, marksmanship, self-defense, and many things. I'd like you to consider visiting our website, www.mdpvillage, MDP, Master Delpe, mdpvillage.com. Visit us and see our offerings there, including our latest prizes for different winners. By the way, just to make you prepare your time again and schedule, I am scheduled to launch my new book, Higher Science of Longevity, which is my compilation of research of super centenarians who live more than 110 years from different countries, especially in Vilcabamba, Ecuador, and Ogimi, Okinawa, Japan, and also Caucasian Mountain of Russia and part of Pakistan, southern Pakistan. So a lot of these compilations, plus my own healing experience and expertise in alchemy and martial arts and yoga and healing sciences, I brought them into at least 10 chapters that also brings the best of the Oriental and Occidental wisdom on long life, and also on not only living with a longer life, extending your youthful life and a healthy aging. I'll bring you also the latest perspective of science on the latest topics about longevity and what they're saying about long life from the scientific point of view, and very much on the spiritual sciences and esoteric sciences from my point of view. It will be in April 22, 2017. Our healing for groups from here to your online connections, telehealing, will be done on March 11. March 11, 10 to 11:30 p.m. with me and my team of advanced healers and psychics who will be helping your case. You can enroll again at info@masterdelpe.com and partake in our group healing called telehealing, which will address different kinds of problems. And the winner is, let me draw. This is the last part of our program today. Writing people's name from different parts of the world. By the way, a lot of people who are not in the same time as the Philippines, this will be rebroadcast on Sunday. This coming Sunday, Philippine time, or even your time Sunday, we'll rebroadcast this because you might not have good connections, but we have recorded with a video camera, and so we can also broadcast this through our captured video recording, which is a higher end, kind of a higher quality. Alright, I'd like to announce the winners. The third prize for life coaching and healing and psychic consulting for advanced senior healers. Sheena is the winner. Sheena. We'll find out. You know this thing? Okay. The second prize, which is the 7 Cycles workshop, goes to Agustin Mwambeki. Agustin Mwambeki is the winner for the 7 Cycles. From around the world, you are lucky to have won this because there's only 3 winners today. And the first prize, healing workshop, 8 hours. You can attend the whole day or you can do it in segments of modules. Santoshika Dayal. Santoshika Dayal, winner of the first prize. Alright, good luck to everyone. I hope to see you again in our future endeavors and events. And we have many programs also for children, for executives. You can visit our website, www.masterdelpe.com, for events and our latest undertakings here in the Philippines, in a very beautiful village called the MVP village, nestled in a valley surrounded by the best Cordilleras, mountains, and circumnavigated 270 degrees with a river. Visit us here, mdbvillage.com. Hope to see you again, and I hope for women, ladies and girls, you would go for your big explosion of development, advanced life, more enlightened life, and balanced life with the new techniques you have learned. Harmonizing the power, love and light in women. And hopefully you are the source of inspiration for the new humanity and the new world, with more saints and masters from your stock, from your women's division. I'm really praying and invoking that a lot of you will stand up and lead the world through your balance, power, love, and light. We need you, men need you, and also this program can be for your men, your husband, your brother, because they need to understand women. They understand themselves, then they understand the whole. Good luck to everyone. Namaskar, happy Women's Day, and blessings to all. Namaskar.